Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to discuss an incredibly serious issue regarding Parker Egbert, a former constituent of mine for over 20 years and an accomplished 2021 Tokyo Paralympic athlete. I made a good look video for Parker before he traveled to Tokyo, wishing him luck representing the United States of America. Little did I know what would happen to Parker when he arrived at the Olympic Village. Parker's family told me that the honor of representing our great country was completely taken away by the hands of a monster. I want to submit a New York Times article for the record. I think the staff has that. I was told that Parker was the subject of a brutal and frequent rape, physical and emotional abuse, and grooming, allegedly at the hands, according to the New York Times article, of teammate Robert Griswold. According to the article, Parker was roommates with Griswold in Tokyo and later at the Colorado Springs Olympic Training Center, even though Griswold was placed in the SafeSport database in September of 2020. For alleged abuses of other athletes. Parker has an intellectual disability, while Griswold has a physical one. Despite this, they were placed as roommates, creating a huge power imbalance and an environment that was ripe for abuse. Griswold was alleged to be his handler and caretaker, even though he had never undergone any training. Parker was physically abused so brutally and extensively that he still needs physical therapy to this day due to the severe trauma of his abuse. Emotionally, Parker continued to need extensive therapy to move on from this trauma, and his therapists attest to the fact that Parker has been 100% honest regarding his alleged abuser. Because of his intellectual disability, he couldn't fabricate this kind of story. Sadly, Parker will never likely go into a swimming pool again and compete. This once vibrant, talented athlete now will not even think about putting on his cap and goggles. My office was made aware of these events in late 2022 by Parker Egbert's parents after their efforts with the U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Committee, the Colorado Springs Police Department, and SafeSport left them without any justice for their son. We immediately began asking SafeSport for answers, and we've yet to receive any. So, Ms. Colon, why were the findings of the 2020 allegations not made available to the Egbert family prior to Parker rooming with Robert Griswold?
First, I'd just like to say that is heartbreaking. His case, I read the pleading, I read his firsthand accounts, and it was terrible. And nobody should have had to go through what he did. We are in the middle of an investigation on the SafeSport Center for SafeSport side, and I can't really just disclose too much there because we're in the middle of that investigation. But I will say that the center was voluntarily dismissed by the plaintiff out of his current lawsuit.
So why did an athlete with prior allegations of abuse and placement in the SafeSport database in 2020 get assigned as Parker's roommate or anyone's roommate despite his intellectual disability?
The Center for SafeSport doesn't really have anything to do with assignments at the training facility or at any other event, so I really won't be able to answer that.
Well, he was in the database. But what obligations does SafeSport have to disclose allegations of sexual abuse or misconduct?
We have extreme allegations, and that's why we update regularly the centralized disciplinary database that houses all of our sanctions.
So that's where your transparency kicks in?
It does.
Okay. Why was Robert Griswold even allowed to attend the Tokyo Games or represent Team USA at all, much less be given supervision of an athlete with an intellectual disability?
We were not involved with the selection of Mr. Griswold for the team.
Did y'all communicate with the Paralympic Olympic Association prior to the Olympics?
We do share information, yes.
So that would be a question for them. The SafeSport investigation began early 2023 once the Colorado Springs Police Department closed the case. Why have almost 2 years gone by without a word from SafeSport investigation?
Because we're coordinating with the parties in the civil suit to get access to depositions and discovery to avoid the need to re-interview potential trauma survivors.
We'll go back to Ms. Dill. Why was this athlete allowed to even participate, much less room with someone with an intellectual disability after SafeSport had him on his database?
I just want to start by saying my heart goes out to the Egbert family, especially Parker. None of us will ever fathom or imagine what he's currently going through right now. Since it is an ongoing investigation, as a matter of principle, we'll not discuss.
Well, let me ask you this way. Does the U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Committee, if you've got access to the SafeSport database, why was this athlete allowed to even participate in the games, much less room with someone that had a disability such as this?
In general, the Center for SafeSport database has current restriction or banned members. If you are finished your probation or you're done with your restriction, you are no longer on the CDD.
I'm out of time. I've got 4 more questions I'm going to submit for the record and ask you guys to respond to those.
We have agreed, the chairman and myself and the ranking member have agreed. If you want to ask a couple more questions, go for it.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and the ranking member. From my understanding, SafeSport has immunity from being sued civilly. What resolution can be made to a victim of abuse even when SafeSport clears the alleged athlete of wrongdoing?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
Yeah, from my understanding, SafeSport has immunity from being sued civilly. So what resolution can be made to a victim of abuse even when SafeSport clears the alleged victim or alleged athlete of wrongdoing?
So there are other legal remedies for anyone going through something like this, and you can, for Mr. Parker in particular, he is currently in an active lawsuit.
How many SafeSport investigators are there to investigate, and how many claims a year? I think you mentioned the claims a year, but how many investigators do you have?
So in total, the center has about 125 staff, half of which are dedicated to response and resolution. Of the 65 plus people in that team, there are about 30 plus investigators, but there are multiple tiers to the investigative process that impact an investigation, not just the investigator.
Okay. Y'all have answered some of the other questions from other members, so thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.